in German lately. And there we just use different words sometimes, for example. But I assume that means rerolling after every single game. Okay, so the players are ready. Let's start the countdown here. It's gonna be a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tetris. And we have to start here for Neko. Sodium was a bit delayed by a second or two, which I assume comes down to stream delay difference. You know, if the players listen for the voice cues. Then one player is a second closer, that obviously just means that they start a second early. Maybe Neko was like, okay, I started 3 so that we start the match, like the game actually, when the countdown on stream reaches 0, stuff like that. Can influence that. It's not necessarily that someone's trying to cheat. Yeah, here we have 2 Tetrises for Neko against 3 Tetrises for Sodium. Neko also getting into the first couple of burns here, gets the first Tetris now. Like, first Tetris out of that small dig here. And it is 68 against 75. Now next Tetris here to Sodium. And Sodium is now no longer having the 100% Tetris rate. Managed to get 4 Tetrises without any burns and now needs to burn. That sheepies looked a bit weirdly placed. I mean, like you wanted to place it differently. And Binkley Link asking, is Neko on Famicom? Is that a Famicom controller? I don't know. But I thought the Famicom controller was smaller. I believe Neko can tell you that later. I don't remember what consoles players play on. I apparently don't even know what controllers look like. I know in a few cases because there are some odd people. Like, for example, I know that if we talk about Game Boy, that people like Gunther like to play on their what was it, SNES Game Boy player on a TV then. That's a small thing that I know, but in general I have no idea. Point was it is 218 against 214, so it's still neck and neck here. Sodium is now looking to try to get to the column 0. Was only a single burn here and he achieved that. Yeah, both of these players look like 18 isn't an issue at all here to them. And Mark Homejacob saying, no, it's classic QN controller. Oh, okay. I've never heard of that before. It's probably like some kind of Russian clone console. Yeah, looks like it. Looks like, yeah. Essentially looks like the Retron, which some people might know. And guess what, the next set was to Sodium having the 300k, and next set was to Neko also getting 300k here at around 70 lines. So the paces look quite decent here in this game so far. I mean, 18 isn't much of a challenge to these players. 19 also shouldn't be, but on 19 is when I'm not too surprised if unfortunate top outs happen, or like if this has happened on 19 to Neko, what has happened now. Yeah, that's a bit dangerous then. With an 18, it's still low enough to dig out of that. Getting the T-spin there as well. Of course, this allows Sodium, as you can now see, to get ahead. And we see it's now about a 2.5 Tetris lead here for Sodium. Neko getting his own next Tetris, now about the same lines. It's a 1.5 Tetris lead here for Sodium. Neko getting the T-piece for the T-spin. Single piece too late. Which in returns means that he wasn't able to get the Tetris here. And might also need to start burning a bit here, or getting dirty a tiny bit. He didn't get the longbow over, which looked like an accident to me. Gets next longbow over and needs to burn a couple of lines here. Against Sodium, who now has a 4.5 Tetris lead here. 420 for Neko against 520 for Sodium. So Sodium around about 100,000 points ahead here against Neko, who needs to burn now due to his center well and the drought situation. 18 piece drought. Now Tetris here to Neko and Tetris to Sodium. Yeah, the lead is still the same here, but might increase as Neko once again looks like he needs to burn a couple of lines here, and Sodium is just looking immaculate, you could say. Not really burning anything here. On a 600k pace still. Would get 2 more Tetrises, which would put him at around, yeah, 234. 634 to 234. And 1 more Tetris possible here for Sodium. Theoretically 2 more Tetrises possible here for Neko, now down to 1 more Tetris possible for Neko. But also no single burn here. And let's see if Sodium can get the last Tetris and if Neko can. Here's now the last Tetris to Neko and the last to Sodium. 638 against 544 in the transition. So still around about a 100,000 point lead here for Sodium. In the 19 transition, Neko's board looks a bit dirty here now, which means a couple of cleanup burns. This is more than just a couple actually. This could be like up to level 21. 22 if it goes badly. But Neko manages to cut a Tetris here in the burning. Was open again. And as we can see, level 21, you know, the one Tetris burn taking into consideration. Clean, but got dirty again. 110, now 137,000 point lead here for Sodium. And Bing in the chat saying, I'm looking forward to an NES Tetris on Nintendo Online in a few days. Might want to get an NES Switch controller for Christmas. I hope that NES Tetris on the Switch makes sense. I have not played it before, but I would assume it's nice. I know that the Tetris Effect connected version on the Switch has what feels like a 1 or 2 frame input delay, which isn't the worst, but also not the best. Could be similar for the Switch, or like, yeah, I think it's called Switch Online. Neko's board also getting a bit dirty, Sodium needing to burn a couple of lines here. And now the next set was finally here to Sodium. 842 against 678. But he also, I don't know about NES Switch controllers, but in general, USB controllers are not the best for NES Tetris. And you want to get an original controller and some kind of NES to USB converter. I don't know how that is for the Switch itself, because I've never looked into that. But just a kind reminder that might not feel best using a USB based controller. And Sodium getting a small early tap here of that green S piece earlier, which means he now needs to burn on level 25. Whereas Neko also needs to burn level 25. Could in theory try to go for burning Tetrises, but that would be too dangerous apparently to his likings. And I fully agree with that. You generally want to stay in game instead of playing too aggressive here. Sodium also looking to max out soon, is less than a Tetris away from the max out. So level 27 max out here now for Sodium. And which is, as we can see, over 200,000 point lead here against Neko. It is 1-0 against 8.6, 8.7 at the same lines. So yeah, a 5.5 Tetris lead here for Sodium essentially. And level 19 is ending soon. Here's now level 29. Essentially 1.1 here for Sodium against Neko transitions at 940. So at a 160 lead here for Sodium in the transition, but Sodium's board now looking kinda high, which means it's gonna be a lot of burns, whereas Neko might be able to go for Tetrises, but no, looks like Neko is currently also trying to stay clean mostly. Okay, Sodium is now getting higher once again. He gets the longer to the left, perfect, and a couple of single burns here now to stay in the game and trying to get lower. Neko also will want to try to get lower, but his stack is looking kinda hard to get around. There are a lot of small holes, but yeah, he's managing that quite nicely until now. And we can see that both players are now more or less at the bottom of their stack. And Neko just had one more bad piece sequence, doesn't get the longbow over, tops out. Which means we now have a 1-0 here for Sodium. So Sodium, if you want, you can top out. You have won this game. It is now 1-0 for you. And GG to Neko, that was some nice level 29. Just didn't get the longbow over. Yes, you can see Sodium also looking like, yeah, also tops out now at level 34. 3, 2, 1, Tetris. Looks like Sodium might have a couple of capture issues here. Yeah, okay, now it looks perfect again. So it's just an 8-line difference here now. Which means even though Sodium has a 2 Tetris or 1 Tetris deficit, it's more like he has played 8 lines less. Point was at a 68 against now 115. But again, it's huge line difference. Oh, we don't have the runway. Was like, it makes more sense to compare their current runways. But that's not easily possible because the CTL scene of course has them disabled. Yeah, and that's also, you know, as I said earlier, I did a ton of German restreams lately. And there we generally have the runway enabled, at least when we use Nestus champs. So yeah, I was like, okay, we use Nestus champs, you have the runway available, but no, we don't. Hello just means saying iPad kid attention span. I mean, it's not that bad. It's also not the best attention span, but it's not iPad kid level bad. And I wouldn't, you know, to confirm this, it would be funny if this was like in a person tournament. I'm now taking out my phone and you could see that. That would be kind of fun. Oh, it just means saying no, Sodium was reading CTM. Oh. Ah. Wait. Was Sodium reading CTM while playing? Huh? That makes 0 sense to me. If you play... Well, okay, we're on... No, in between matches. Oh, in between matches. Okay, okay. Okay, now that makes sense to me. I was like, hey, if you have the time to read CTM while you're playing, then you're doing something incorrect. But if it's in between games, yeah. I mean, there's not much you can do except getting the wits here for Sodium now. It is 345 against 327. Which means that Sodium was able to get ahead here in points now, despite having played a couple of lines less. No, only 2 lines less, so we are nearly at the same amount of lines, and we have a small lead here for Sodium of less than a Tetris, but in pace it's obviously more than a Tetris, and we're also not the same pieces. So Sodium, despite starting quite late here, has shown us nice aggression. You can also see that in the points, of course, there was some push down, and we also just had a nice simul Tetris. And Steel is also saying Sodium has iPad vibes, iPad kid vibes. Don't be so rude to Sodium. If you play Tetris, you need to have a longer attention rate than an iPad kid. Like, if you can only focus on something for half a second, then you can't play Tetris. And now the next set was to Sodium and Neko, 464 against 444. And the next 2 Tetrises here. Like, Tetris is more like the hyper-focused version of an iPad kit, I guess. The opposite. And the next set was to Sodium. We are now at about 100 lines, which means around about 30 lines more left to go here on level 18 speed before we advance to level 19. Yeah, once again, I don't expect there to be any issues here on level 18 at all. 19, maybe some small. Also, but the iPad kit attention. Maybe that's why Sodium sometimes pushes down. He just needs that extra adrenaline to stay focused. Most rollers don't push down mid-game. They might push down like first piece or so. But once they're a bit deeper, push down, it's generally not worth it. Okay, next set was here to Neko and Sodium. Less than 10 lines on level 18. Point was at a 629 against 606. Which means less than a Tetris lead here for Sodium. But around about a Tetris still. Next set is now to Sodium. And them saying push down while rolling is also awkward. Yeah. That's why it's not worth it. You kinda risk losing your grip a bit. Which for like 2 points, not worth it. Oh, so Neko also missing the J-Tag here. Kinda high, which means he will need to burn up to level 19. But his board is nearly open. We just had the transition here at around 660 for Sodium. And 630 here for Neko. Which means about a Tetris and some change lead here for Sodium in the transition. Neko kinda high, gets longbar and Tetris to Neko here. Oh, and Neko misdrops the next blue SPs. Which means both players now need to burn a couple of lines. And we have a 2.5 Tetris lead here for Sodium. Both pairs are also now clean. And Neko could go for the left well now, as burning the couple of lines to go to for the center right well. Which is, with how the rotation works here in NES, that was just a bit more easy and efficient. And next Tetris here to Neko. And yes, the efficiency is NES specific, because in Game Boy Tetris, it's the opposite. Unless you play the 2-player versus mode, where the garbage that you spawn only spawns in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So only the even columns. Neko also here once again burning quite a lot on 19, got a bit dangerously high as well. And Sodium is also getting close to the max out here, as we can see. 953 here for Sodium, just about a Tetris or 2 away from the level. In that case, 26 max out. So huge pace here for Sodium in this game. Neko is also in a good pace, but it's just not up to Sodium, as we are at 105 against 850. So essentially a 200,000 point lead here for Sodium. 200k. That's a massive lead on level 19 speed. You can also see then the Tetris difference. It's around about a 5.5 to 6 Tetris difference here. And next Tetris to Sodium, getting up to 6.5 Tetris difference, having played a couple of lines more, but as we can see on Neko's side, there's gonna be a bit of burning here to do. We can't see it perfectly well because of the level 27 colors. But yeah, it looks like Neko is open, gets next Tetris. 1.2 nearly here for Sodium. Will surely get 1.2 now. Yeah, 1.2 for Sodium against not even max out here for Neko. Now the max out, so it's over 200k lead here for Sodium. 1.2 into 29 into a dirty board into a top out, which means Neko, your goal is 1.2. If you can get to 1.2, you have won the game. This could be safely played by the left side for Neko. Now looks dangerous, doesn't get the LPs over, which means Neko tops out here and Sodium gets the 2-0. And next up it will be match point for Sodium. 2-1 Tetris. And let me also make sure that the next players, or like potential players, know that, so that Swedish Chef at Jelena, we are now in the first match point, currently 2-0, that's ready to potentially play soon. And thanks of course also to K9 watching Tetris for the 329 bits of cheering, saying go Sodium go. Of course also, as we can see, someone who has been in the chat for a long time. I believe, yeah, 2 years, 25 months subscriber. So huge thanks here to K9 for being such a long time CTL viewer. And in the match we currently have 110 against 90, so around about a 1 Tetris lead here for Sodium, which is now down to a no Tetris lead for anyone. And the only point difference here is the couple of pushdown points by Neko, or specifically 5 pushdown points. And Sodium is still at 100% Tetris rate, whereas Neko had to burn a single line. Let's see how long Sodium can keep that 100% Tetris rate up. Now to 36. I mean, in theory, if the seed allows for it, you can play a game fully without a single burn. In reality, it's not gonna happen. But yeah, this is looking quite nicely here for Sodium so far. And end of mentioning the playoffs. He might... actually, I don't know for sure, because I believe he can't. I would need to check these standings. Oh, let me see. Yeah, I don't think he can make it if he wins this. In the chat saying yes to have when you top out at 0. Playoffs is from top 3 from 2 divs plus the 7th and 8th place. Yeah, exactly. Now if he wins, he should have less points than NXT. That's at least if I saw the points and everything correctly. You feel free to correct me. But that's based on my knowledge. Point-wise, it's currently 358 against 330. Oh, for the wild cards. Yeah, that could be, of course. I was only looking at the CTL standings. Because I was like, oh, can Sodium actually make it still to place number 3? Also getting quite high, you know, it takes the next double burn here. Okay, next single, left side, nice. Right side, Tetris for Sodium, that was really high. And we're Tetris now to Sodium. Neko also getting a bit high here, but not quite as high as Sodium just showed us. And that was amazingly well played here by Sodium, knowing exactly what risk he can take. And he managed to do it. And yeah, just means that OMG, that was so stressful. It was. But he managed to do it. And yes, I believe he got the wild card, as Kazokyo just said. But yeah, as he also says, we will see. It's currently 440 against 470, but Sodium just had to close the well again. Opened it again, closed it again. So this could maybe be a chance for Neko to get this. Sodium nearly chopped out there. Okay, this is nice survival Sodium that we are seeing. Managing to stay in the game, getting into dangerous positions, getting out of them again. He fell behind a bit in points. It is now 470 against 500. And here's now the next Tetris to Sodium. The next Tetris to Neko. And Neko has, as we can see, around about a 70k lead here, having played 2 lines less now than Sodium. Yeah, that's of course because if you play high, the pieces take less time to fall, which means the next piece spawns faster. We had a 547 transition here for Sodium, I think, and a 617, so like a 70,000 point lead here for Neko in the transition. Which means Sodium needs to make up those points here now on level 19 speed. And we have seen that happen before, that he can get him, well, it was a bigger lead on level 19 speed. In this case it would be getting any lead on level 19 speed. And the next set was, to Sodium. And of course, the season is nearly over, but if you enjoy CTL, then feel free to donate to our prize pool. You can see it now in the chat, !Matcherino, if you feel like donating to amazing players. And as you can also see here on the bottom left, we are really close to the $500. We are at $499.99. Which is essentially halfway of the prize pool goal. Interesting. It was 1,000. And yes, 743 against 761. Sodium is Tetris ready. Neko still needs to burn a couple of lines here. Next Tetris to Sodium, having now the point lead. In pace still behind, but as you can see on Neko's side, this is going to be a couple of burns here that he still needs to do. And the couple might escalate into quite a lot. He is now ready for Dirty Tetris, but he doesn't get the long burn time. Left side is looking okay, right side is a bit inaccessible, wants a long burn, gets the long burn, the Tetris here, nice. Digging Tetris here for Neko. Sodium is now also at level 25 now. And has a couple of 1,000 point lead here now for Sodium. Both players are in a burning situation, and Neko is getting important singles here, so is Sodium. Who can get out of this soon and go for the next Tetris? I would say that Sodium's board looks a bit nicer, but Neko is just showing us even better survival than Sodium has shown us before. Okay, Sodium looks like he's nearly out of it. Neko looks like he could get a Tetris here. Perfect Tetris now for Neko. Point wise it is 842 against 860, so the lead is once again in favor of Neko. And it looks like both players should be open soon. Yeah, we can see it now. Sodium getting open for the level 29 transition. Neko also getting open close to the level 29 transition, I assume. And yeah, we can see Neko also getting a Tetris here. 888 for Sodium, 2 lines away from the transition. 909 for Neko, 7 lines away from the transition. So you have the 20k lead here. Oh, and Sodium's board is once again falling apart a bit. He's now transitioning to level 29, doesn't get the long bar over, which means Neko wins his first game here. It is now 1-2, meaning Neko, you can safely top out if you want. You have managed to win this game here, but no, Neko instead is transitioning to level 29, and the 19 wasn't the best. It was quite bad, but the players managed to survive, showed us amazing survival, but Sodium sadly got dirty before the transition to level 29, which means that he topped out. It's still ready. Next game here, it's gonna be a 3-2-1 match point for Sodium. Both players have started, and I just realized that my water bottle is empty, which means after this match there will be a small break for me to get water and stuff, but of course we will finish this match first, and once it is finished we can start the Division 5B matches, and after that the 4A match, because there's 4 matches in total happening today. And of course tomorrow we will also have 3 Division 4B matches hosted by Ronkley at midnight UTC, so at 23:59 UTC on what the heck, Sunday. Why do I sometimes forget day names? Yeah. Here it's now 115 against 100, which means we have a small lead here for Sodium. It is less than a Tetris. So let's see what the game will show us later on. Will Neko be able to win one more game here and then force the decider? Or will Sodium be able to take one of his 2 match points and win the match? There's of course still around about 100 lines here of level 18 to go, then 19, and then hopefully also up until level 39 on the kill screen, or level 29 speed. And once we reach the double kill screen, there will be essentially guaranteed top outs. Like in theory you can play some level 39, so double kill screen speeds. But I don't believe that we will see much on level 39 speed for a couple of years. Maybe in like 27, 28 players go for or grind for level 39. But currently there's no reason to do that. You are now at nearly halfway through level 18. As you had 64, 67 lines. So there's a bit to go, but also not a ton. And point what it is, 326 against 292, 293. So as we can see, there's a small lead here for Sodium, but it's not too big. But it's now potentially widening, but no, now Sodium needs to also take 2 or 3 burns here. But Neko's actually burning more than I anticipated. Yeah, and that OP's Mist-Drop and the Tsugi spin don't help. This is gonna be a bit of burning here for Neko. And there's also the route, but the number does come in time here for Sodium for the next Tetris. Neko's getting a bit higher here now. Gets the burns, gets next long burn as well, nice. And is now lower to not be in a single Mist-Drop tops out danger. And next Tetris to Sodium. Now having a 6 Tetris lead, which is 130,000 points essentially. So a huge lead here for Sodium that Neko will need to catch up somehow. And I feel like this is a situation that we have seen a couple of times before. Sodium just getting ahead on level 18 by a lot, and then Neko not being able to catch that up later on in the game. Of course, it's also quite late here on Neko's side, as he said earlier. It was 1 AM, which means it should now be 2 AM here for Neko. So props to him for even being able to play Tetris this well. Many players, like for example myself, would not be able to play it all at those times. But to be fair, I'm also pretty bad players. What are we? Some kind of League of Legends? Danny's saying, or Dan, oh it's Danny J, 3 AM here. Hey, 3 AM and watching Tetris. You do love CTL, which means I do love seeing you here in chat. We are just a couple of lines away from level 19, 547 and 411, which means 135,000 points, as I just showed also. Vanessa with Gems, lead here for Sodium. And here's the next Tetris to Sodium. Sodium could get 2 more Tetrises, and this is now the transition at 437 here for Neko. Let's see if Sodium can get the final Tetris here for him. There's now a small drought happening for Sodium. He closed early for the transition, is now getting a bit high, but takes the safe burn into level 19 at 574, which means you have like 140k lead here for Sodium, which is quite high. But Neko is able to get a Tetris here on level 19. Let's see if Sodium can as well. Here's now the next Tetris to Sodium and one more Tetris to Sodium. And looks like Sodium also has got the level 19 Tetrises that Neko is able to get. Here's on the next Tetris to Sodium once again. The lead is now at 90,000 points and having played 6 lines less. So to make it easier, it's around about the same lead as it was earlier. It's not the 100% same, but it is, let's say, same enough. This of course means that Neko will need to get some more efficiency on potentially, but Sodium needs to burn more lines here now. And point-wise, that is 690 against 680. So it's less than half a Tetris lead here for Neko. Okay, Sodium getting the next Tetris, also a small misdrop here. And Neko is now needing to burn a bit. Is open once again. Which means we could see more Tetrises happening here. We get the next Tetris for Sodium, having put a couple of lines less and once again having a lead here. 756 against 716. The next Tetris to Neko. The next Tetris also to Sodium. Neko having played 10 lines more, which means it's a 3.5 Tetris lead here now for Sodium and pace. In points, of course, it's only 1 Tetris lead. And next Tetris to Sodium, this might be decided on level 29, as the pairs are kinda close in points. Yeah, there's a biggish lead here for Sodium and point potential. But it's not so huge that Neko wouldn't be able to catch up to it. Next Tetris now to Sodium. 950 against 869, we're now on level 27 here for Neko and level 26 for Sodium. We can see the next set we see to Sodium, 984 against 872. A 3.5 Tetris lead here for Sodium in points. Next set was to Neko. Now only 5 lines away from the level 29 transition. And there's the cowbell by Danny, because Sodium just got the max out. It's also a bit high, but should be open now. And the transition is 920 here for Neko. Which means Sodium will transition over 100,000 points ahead here of Neko if he manages to get to the transition, which is not guaranteed. Sodium wants the long bar, but he doesn't get the bar single here, but left side is pretty much inaccessible, which means Neko, it is a chase down for you. You need 1.04. 1.04. So at this point, about 40,000 points left to go here for Neko, which is less than a Tetris, and Neko might be able to force it decide, but no, he doesn't get the long bar over. And this is now a top out for Neko. Meaning that it is a 3-2-1 for Sodium. And Sodium, congratulations, you win this match. And you should now have the wild card for the playoffs. And he also just quit the bar, the cam here. So let's have a...
Something dirty here. Gets absolutely bailed. My goodness. And sets up the Vits for fun. Now, here's a fun fact. Eyeball's Canadian, and that's it. That's just fun. I'll just put it out there. I really want to see bagged milk with my own eyes. And then when I see it, I want to pronounce it baked milk like a Canadian, like a real Canadian. Like, that's like on the bucket list. That's like, I have like 3 things on the bucket list, and that's like number 1. So I just wanted to put that out there since, you know, Canadian. 139 for Eyeball, 136 for Blue Scooty. The difference being Scooty has not burned. And in turn, Eyeball has a very small lead. Jade Hart, welcome in, says go Canada. Is thing number 2 coming to Tea Parody? Sort of. Thing number 2 is seeing snow and making a snow angel. Beautiful. Line's been delayed burn. Or eyeball. Like real snow and being able to like make a snowball and throw a snowball. That's like number 2 right there. Because I've never seen real snow. If I have, I was like 4. And I don't even think it was that real. The only snow I've seen in the past like 15 years is like the one where it snows a little bit and then like hits the ground and melts. But I want to see like real snow, like a foot of snow. Or is that too much? Is a foot like a lot? It might be a lot. Who knows? Double Tetris. Scores get higher. Deficit stays the same. There's snow on the ground in Hartford right now. Well, unfortunately, I'm not there, Taknirus. I'm not even there. So you're rubbing salt in the wound. 276 for eyeball, 297 for blue Scooty here. Actually, just Scooty. Scooty has changed his name officially in esports to be on the right side here to take advantage of the fact that everyone who's been on the right side has won today. They rub salt on the rose to make no melt. What? That's crazy. Tetris for blue Scooty, 345 and another one. Eyeball unable to Tetris at the moment due to the small dig. Not in any sort of danger, just unable to score at the moment. Opens the well. And well, he's not getting the bar. And this actually could be dangerous. It's not getting the pieces, and eyeball is going to top out at 289. At 392, blue Scooty is good for game number 1. A bit of a gift from eyeball. And I'm going to click this button right here, and it's going to go 3, 2, 1. Tetris. Now notice how I counted off beat so the YouTube commenters would point it out and give us interaction. Also, these players love money, so if you want to give them some and get that total over $499.99, click this link and give them your net worth. Simul Tetris. Now you have to give them money. Yeah, I'm talking to you, YouTube, as well. There's a Matcherino link in the comments. Go click it, buddy. That was kind of beautiful, eyeball. That was nice. I can't even lie. Early days here, Scooty. Once again, perfect for 3 and looking to continue that. But unfortunately, getting droughted going to end the perfect streak a little early. Zempro, do you mean top 10 like Canadian Tetris player or just top 10 Canadian? That is the real question. Hedge for eyeball, 98,000. 98 as well for blue Scooty. Scooty gonna get a Tetris eyeball. A small dig here. Eyeball's a top 10 Canadian of all time. You know, I'm really proud of my laptop here. It really has not given me any trouble this whole stream. 0 dropped frames, no real buffering. It's been a smooth ride. I'm very proud of it. Pat, pat, pat. 190 for blue Scooty, 151 here for eyeball. Got Neko in the chat. Welcome in. Arbaro is giving their list of top 10 Canadians. Eyeball back about 100,000 points, 4.5 Tetrises at 181, 282 for blue Scooty, and this is pretty early too. So, you know, on one hand, it could turn into a monster lead, and on the other hand, there's plenty of time for eyeball to bring it back. Two sides to every story. That's what they say, I've been told. Tetris there for eyeball 250. 351 for Scooty. You spelled it wrong, Zempro. It's embarrassing. Good job. Scooty at 402 now, 85 lines. That's kind of, that could be really good pace. Is that 700 pace still? It may be like just off or just barely. One of the two. Scooty a little bit dependent on the left side. Gonna get a Z. So it's a good start. Gets another one and then gets a T. So all of a sudden the left side is very filled out. Tetris for eyeball 373. You know, the thing is, eyeball actually on like a pretty solid game right now. I certainly would not be too upset with a score like this, but just Scooty been maintaining this 100,000 point lead that he got like within the first 50 lines. Eyeball probably gonna have some work to do on the post transition, maybe even post. Scooty kind of was square dependent there and luckily got that square. Now at 540, 119,000 points in the lead. Eyeball at 420. Oh, Zempro, I want to DM you something funny later. Just remind me, because I'll forget. It's kind of funny. Scooty 608 with 2 Tetrises to spare. So we could be seeing like a 650 something. Takes 2 burns and now has no more to have the most efficient way to transition. There's one. 633. The setup. Beautiful J for the tuck and gets a Tetris. 657 transition for Scooty. Eyeball gonna get like 559. That's certainly a great transition as well. Just somehow 100,000 points behind. Of course, Eyeball didn't, you know, get to this position for nothing. I mean, he's been kind of smoking the competition this season. Only dropped a few games, now one of them being to Scooty. Has not dropped a single set as of yet. Of course, that means the pressure is mounting on him. Gets another Tetris 634. The 710 for Scooty. Scooty now having to burn a little bit. Opens the well. Beautiful burn with that J. Gets a bar and a Tetris. Simul Tetris. Or close enough. The graphic didn't show up, but close enough. And another Tetris for both players. $800,000 points on 22, which is kind of bonkers. There's the Simul Tetris graphic. Unable to use that bar for the Tetris. Gets another one. 857 to 771. Eyeball has been playing very efficient here in the post transition. 800 into 23. Off of a 550 post. Or a transition, rather.